We arrived here, our train arrived here on the ramp. And as we moved forward, it was Mengele was here at that day. I only found out later on who he was. And he selected all the orphanage, went to the other side.
And what was the other side?
The other side was to the gas chamber, straight to the gas chamber. It's impossible to comprehend this place, Auschwitz, what it was like. No human being can even imagine.
Does the passing of time make it easier to come back and see it?
No. The savagery which went on here every day was just horrendous. The world should be reminded of all these horrible atrocities which were perpetrated in this place, and this should stand as a monument forever to humanity.
It was August 1944 and you came here, and standing here now,
Yes.
it must feel appalling.
It is. It's traumatic every time you come to this place. You're fearful. You came here after 2.5 days, traveling on the train, standing up because they packed you in a box train, and it was horrendous. In the end, you thought, wherever they take you, let's get it over with, because you can't take certain terrible things. What you went through on the train, you can't take it anymore. So we arrived here, our train arrived on here on the ramp, and they told us to come out of the train, every wagon was opened up, and they said, leave your suitcases on the train, because you'll get it all back after you have a shower, and just take your valuable things with you. And I had nothing valuable, and they told us to make a row of men with boys, and then women on this side with children, and I knew from my first camp, never be with children or elderly people. Try and keep away. If they don't need you, they'll kill you very quickly. And as we moved forward, it was Mengele was here at that day. I only found out later on when I've seen him again who he was. And he selected all the orphanage, went to the other side.
And what was the other side?
The other side was to the gas chamber, straight to the gas chamber. There was a little road here which people walked down. They didn't drive you on at all. They let the people walk down straight in that little wood over there. And there was crematorium 2, 3, 4 and 5, and the people didn't know. They just told them they're going to.
But you knew because you'd been in a camp before.
Yeah,
you knew you were in trouble.
I knew it's not a good omen when the SS is here, and I've seen electric wires here as well, and assessment with dogs. It got put fear into me because I was in the camp, my first camp, where the SS were there, and I could see how brutal and how horrendous they were, these people. And it's only after the selection, and once I got into the sauna, what they call the sauna, when they gave you the number and everything, that's when we found out that afternoon what's happened to the people who came with us, what's happening in Auschwitz. It was a foreman, a capo, told us that all these people came with you this afternoon, but this afternoon there'll all be nothing but ashes. They'll be gassed and then burned. That was the first time after the selection that I found out what was happening here in Auschwitz. And so it's only, from the 185 children, it's only me who got across, and then another boy followed me. And all the other 183 children went straight to their death in the gas chamber, and I went through that gate with another boy to the sauna. There they cut our hair, and they gave us a shower, and also they gave us a number on the arm. And my number was B7608. Auschwitz was the only camp that gave a number on the arm. Tattooed.
Why, looking back, You so nearly died. You so nearly.
Several times, yes.
But at that moment here,
Here,
what
yes.
made you change lines and save yourself?
The commotion here with this lady, they tried to take the child away from her, and this gave me, because all of the SS looked towards her, and they didn't, even they were going to kill you, but everything has got to be calm and systematic with the Germans, and that is the reason. When they moved there, I moved aside, because I've noticed men and women were walking down here, been selected, that I could see fitter men, stronger also women, and I knew they would definitely be selected for work. And I followed them, with the other boy followed me as well, and eventually he died here in Auschwitz later on, and I'm the only one that came out from 185 children from the orphanage alive.
And they'd become, in your book you talk about being relatively happy in the orphanage because you lost your family before that.
Yes, and that's the reason I had to go into the orphanage, because I was with the children, and all the children which were with me, and they were dead that afternoon, and it was. I only found out when I found out from the couple, from that foreman, and when he told me, and I was heartbroken, all my friends, and.
It must be very difficult coming back. I admire your bravery.
Yeah.
Does the years make it easier? The passing of time make it easier to come back and see it?
No. The savagery which went on here every day, with the beating, the screaming of the SS, it was just horrendous. Every day, every moment. They told you you'll never come out of here alive, and the only way you come out is through the chimney. And I mean, the starvation, the beating, the sheer brutality, the going to the toilet, and you had a few moments to be there, and then people sat next to you with dysentery, with diarrhea, and just skeletons, and it was horrendous to watch. And as a child, I was so traumatized with the whole thing, from every day. Then you went to work, worked for about 10 hours, just pajamas, striped pajamas, and then you got a piece of bread in the morning, piece of black bread, small piece, and some hot coffee supposed to be. It was just burned wheat, and in lunchtime we got some water soup and swimming around a few leaves. And obviously you were getting thinner and thinner every day, and if you looked too thin, they took your number and then they sent you to the gas chamber just the same. Every so often they did selections. And Mengele was one of them as well. And these were doctors that they swore the Hippocratic oath as a doctor, and these.
What did you think though? Because you know your childhood before all this was so normal, and you had your parents together in a fairly prosperous village, and then the world just went mad. And I don't know how a child confronted with such evil could make any sense of it. Did you just shut down all your normal reactions, or did you try and make sense of it? Did any adults tell you that this wasn't normal, that this was... What how could you possibly have coped emotionally with it?
Hope that maybe somebody from my family survived. Deep down I knew they didn't, but I still had hope. I was young, I wanted to live, I've seen no life. I was a child, I went to school, and every day to me was a wonderful day, and eventually this happened, and you can't imagine that normal human beings could be so savage, so heartless, without emotion, without anything. I mean, they killed the babies here. Nothing mattered to them whatsoever. This was a civilized nation, cultured, loved music. How could they become such inhuman beings that the world has never known such savagery ever? It's murdered 6 million Jewish people only because they were a different religion. Who was Jesus? Who was Paul? Peter? The disciples? They were all Jews. Why this hatred? Where was the church? Why did the church never said a word about it? That is the most terrible thing. They've seen what goes on everywhere. In the towns, they cleared villages, towns, cities of the Jewish people. Nobody said a word. Even the Pope never said a word.
Do you think now that it's passing into history and out of living memory,
it should never pass into history as such. Obviously, we won't live forever, I don't know, 20 years or 15 years or whatever it is. It should be reminded, the world should be reminded of all these horrible atrocities which were perpetrated in this place. And this should stand as a monument forever to humanity. Because this is, nobody can realize and visualize what savagery went on in this place. It was 30 kilometers in diameter, Auschwitz, and it had different subcamps here. But to have here 135,000 people in a place like that, without hardly any feeling, emotion, a human being were nothing to them. And the Germans were the only one they thought that they are the master race, and everybody else was nothing, was an inhuman person. So how on earth could the world go on theme today? It's still today we have problems with what goes on around the world. Humanity has got to learn once and for all to stop killing, to stop maiming each other, and wars going on all the time. I mean, when I look at sometimes at the media, the news, I see different countries, still things going on, and have we not learned very much since only 60 years ago when Auschwitz was liberated? I still can't make it out how man can do all these terrible things. So nobody's learned the lesson, even up to today. And I'm back here after 60 years leaving this place, and I'm always traumatized, and I remember the death march, how the people were shot, they couldn't walk any further, deep in snow, and the winds were howling. We were just dressed in a pyjama, without any food, without anything. For several days they made us march, and eventually they put us on trains, and they took us to Buchenwald. And Buchenwald was only 8 kilometers away from Weimar. A cultured city like Weimar. The Germans used to come and work there.
It's very difficult to understand.
This is a ramp, and the trains used to arrive every day here, day and night. And here there are 2 rows of selections. The doctor stood here, and here they were the gods. If you went here, you went to your death. If you went here, you went to your life. And luckily, I went to this side, and I'm here to tell you the story. Very, very few people survive from this place.
Feels haunted to me, I must say.
Yes, it is. It is a haunting place. It's frightening too. Every time you come back here, it's just. I've got friends which will never come back here. I sometimes think to myself, you know, how did I get out from these terrible things? Not 4 concentration camps, not just one. To get us, and it's from the word go, we suffer terribly. Every day, they made us suffer terribly. And it's impossible to imagine that happened 60 years ago in this place. Such savages, such murder, such torture, what these people did.
Have your children been back here with you?
Yes. I don't know.
And I believe you lost all your photos, and you took and how you held on to the photos of your family.
Yes.
And then they took them from you here.
Yes, here.
So you only have the memories.
Only the memories. I've got not one photograph of any of my family. They've never had any grandparents or any parents from my side or any family from my side. So they always wondered why not, what's happened. And I never talked about it. I couldn't talk about it because the whole situation was too traumatic. I had to make a living. I had to, you have children. You got to work very hard, and I didn't want to tell them, and I couldn't talk to them about it. So I just, it's only when I brought them back here they really found out what really happened.
Your grandchildren, are they old enough to understand, or are they very little?
Yeah, well, I've got, the eldest one is 18, and then I got one of 16, one of 14, and yes, and up to from 18 to 3. The youngest one is 3. They understand, some of them do, the elder ones, but the others don't. Obviously the little ones don't know anything about anything like that, so. This here. Here. This is where the couples lived. In this room, the couple live. They live separate from the women. Now, this is a painting. A man painted it. Now, should anybody found a drawing or painting on some paper, something like that, it would have been hanged for that. But on here they didn't care because they know nobody can take it out. So this was done later on by a prisoner. And you can see the conditions. Here we had boxes which were for 10 people.
So how many, you slept on
About 5
like
here. About 5 here. On this box.
Did you have any sort of bedding, or how did you keep warm?
There was a bit of straw, not very much straw, and then there was. How did we keep warm? We didn't. We didn't keep warm. You slept in your clothing, and you. Winter time, obviously, you were very, very cold. We had in the center of the barrack, on the wooden barrack, we had an oven, a long oven, and sometimes there was no wood. So, but the only thing is, from 1,000 men in a barrack, from breathing, it was a little bit warmer.
Did you realise at the time that if you survived, you would be able to bear witness to the horror? Is that one of the reasons why you had to survive?
No, I didn't think. I didn't know that I would survive, because you lived from day to day. You couldn't think. We had hope, maybe we'd survive. We knew the war was going wrong, was going bad for the Germans, because we could see the aircraft going past here and so on. But survival wasn't an option for us, because every day we were reminded that we'll never come out of here from this camp. The only way you will come out is through the crematorium. So
yeah, hope. You still had hope. Hope's the last thing to die.
I had hope, yes. I had 1 or 2 other people who were with me, and they used to come asking me, "Do you think we'll ever get out of here?" And I said, "Well, there's a chance. Who knows?" But as a child, I mean, I wanted to live, and I wanted to see what life is all about, because I haven't lived. I only went to school, and but that's the only thing from day to day we hoped will maybe someday get out of here.
I don't believe that people like me can comprehend, even with you standing here talking to me about it, and then there's the people watching this on the television. I think it's so terrible. I don't think we're capable of understanding it. So I don't understand how anyone's capable of doing it. I don't think I can really hear what you're saying. I don't think I really can believe you somehow.
It's impossible to comprehend this place, Auschwitz, what it was like. No human being can even imagine what savagery went on here. From beating, from screaming, from pushing people along, people being scared that they would be chosen to the gas chamber. They took your number. I mean, you had the number on the arm. You were only a number. You didn't count. You were like a sheep. A sheep you can kill, it doesn't matter, because it's only a number. And that the system, they worked, they made sure that you had no hope here, that you'll never come out of here. They worked you to death. When you couldn't work anymore, they pushed you in the gas chamber and they killed you. And then burned you. I mean, I worked with 2 horses on agriculture in a place called Bude, and then they brought us sacks of ashes to throw on the ground for fertilizer. And you're talking about civilized human being, cultured human beings.
What do you mean? They put you...
The Germans were such a cultured nation. Every conceivable trick in the trade, they did everything to kill as many and mass people as they could.
So you say that this is a monument to those who died, but is it also a warning?
It's a warning to society. It's a monument that should stay here as a cemetery as it is. And the cemetery, you got tombstones. Here you don't have the tombstones. But if you walk around here, in the summertime mainly, you walk on ashes everywhere you're walking near the crematoriums here in the gas chambers. Every place you are around, the ground is completely full of ashes, pieces of bone, and there's little lakes where they used to throw the ashes in. We took sacks of ashes into the river Vistula, which passes by not far from Auschwitz, and we had to throw it in. I was working the fishing commando at that time, and they said, well, we must feed the fish, so we used to throw sacks of ashes in. So after the war, the Welsh should never think that the Germans did anything wrong. They tried to hide it, but it was too late for them. They had to leave everything as it was, and they left too many archives. And today, too many ghosts and archives, which you still see written everything. As you see, Hesse's, the films which have just been shown about Auschwitz, the camp commander, he wrote everything down, everything what happened here. So.
Let me take some pictures of you in here, and then you can show me.
This was a wash house from the ladies. We didn't have such luxuries, but the ladies got. They had a trough there with the wash house, and this is for the fire to keep warm. They had a little stove. That was a little stove to keep warm.
And how many people? 5?
Five people on each box. There were 5 women, and you were better off being higher up because you can see this is concrete. Women, you can see, they were. This was a trough. They had a pipe going up here, down to there, and then a tap, about 3 taps.
This is how they got up to the top. But these are the top ones. Must have been better than here.
Yes, because here you were on concrete. People used to wee in the middle of the night because they couldn't hold the bladder, and used to come down to the bottom. But there were about 5 women on each bunk here. And you know, sometimes if one moved, the others had to move. And it was very tough in some middle of the night to get down from these bunks. So it used to wake everybody else up. And sometimes you were sleeping and you could hear somebody's heart pumping so hard and they were dying next to you. And some of them died from hunger as well. So, and it's not just an ordinary death, but the heart seems to be pumping all the time. You could hear the knocking in the heart. It's horrendous. And imagine me having to sleep next door to a person like that, dying next to you and moaning and grinding their teeth and snoring. It was...
Have you always been able to talk about it? Or has it got... Did you go through a period where you didn't talk about it, and then, as the time has passed, you've found it easier, or has it always been something that's burned you?
I could never talk about it. Up to the time about 12 years ago, I decided to sit down and start writing about, especially when I heard when Le Pen said the Holocaust was only a detail of history. Le Pen, the French National Front leader. And when he said that, I thought I would sit down and say certain things what I have seen. And he thought the Holocaust was only a detail of history. And I called my book A Detail of History. Can you imagine how we felt having to sit next to so many people who had the diarrhea and all sorts of different things? It's just impossible to imagine. We stopped outside. There was an alarm going on. The planes were passing by. This is a place. As you went out to work, the orchestra played here, and on the way back it was the same story. The orchestra played as you marched back in, and many times you carried dead bodies with you because they just died there at work. And that was the situation every day, and the whole system worked that you will never come out of here. And they gave you no hope whatsoever. To the barrack where I lived here when I came to Auschwitz I. Anytime you still feel physically sick with the whole situation, the whole barbarism here, what went on. And this is number 4 barrack was my barrack when I first came. Today they made a museum out of it inside, and they took down some walls, they changed the walls. One day we were called out, we had to stand around all the people in Auschwitz here, in this Auschwitz I, and they had a gallows, and they hanged 2 people because they tried to escape, and we had to watch how they hanged them. And as they were going up on the platform, one of them shouted, there was a Polish man and a Jewish man, and one of them shouted, you get paid back for what you do, and Hitler should be killed, all you Germans should be killed. And then they kicked the chair away from him, and he dropped, and then the other Jewish man, he said, Shema Israel, Adonai Echad, just before it's a prayer, and just before they kicked the chair, and they cried, and one had to watch how the other one is being hanged, how he dropped. terrible, terrible bestiality went on at this place. Over there that's where they hanged 12 people in one go on one line, and that was all this part of the building was the kitchen, the small part here. Horrible, horrible. It's more than terrible. It just, you can't comprehend what these savages did here.
tour in its entirety.
If we wanted to, and there was time to Great Museum. Yes. Thank you very much.
Do you know
where the main exhibition is? The last wall of buildings from March 4.
You happy with the? You see, it goes over the